This is the Vauxhall VXR8, and you know what? It's hilariously brilliant. So a supercharged 6.2 litre V8 making 587 horsepower and mated to an old school 6-speed manual gearbox, it's equally as enjoyable to use as it is damn fast. This particular version is the GTS-R, the final encore of the VXR8 tree, which is a shame because Vauxhall have been importing these over the last 10 years, and in 2017 they decided to stop importing them over to the UK. But the VXR8 was not the first Aussie Vauxhall to have come to the UK. And this is where it all began, the Vauxhall Monaro. Introduced in 2004, the Monaro was a no-nonsense coupe offering V8 thrills and performance, but costing half as much as the European rivals. This one though is no ordinary Monaro, it's the VXR 500, a supercharged 500 horsepower version in which, as you can see, is a bit of a handful. But like the VXR8, it offered a style and character that just could not be replicated in many other cars of this calibre. So, these two then are the backbone to represent serious power figures that would worry most German super saloons, but travel back near 30 years though, Vauxhall produced a saloon car that changed the world. It's the year 1990. Will Smith's Hall of Fame came with the TV sitcom The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Ayrton Senna wins his second Formula 1 World Championship, and Nintendo releases the first Game Boy. It was also an era of the Ferrari Testarossa and Porsche 911 Turbo, which were one of the fastest sub-supercars you could buy. Until this came along, the Vauxhall Lotus Carlton, a General Motors idea of taking a humble British four-door saloon and transforming it into something else. And even when nearly 30 years goes by, what is the Carlton like to drive? Well, I'm pleased to report, fantastic. The engine, turbocharging has come a long way. Nothing much really happens until you get to about 3,000 RPM, and you don't get this sudden kick of power, you actually get a never-ending surge that just keeps going on and on and on. And I'll tell you what, the thrust of this thing is just so quick, absolutely quick. Now, to get this kind of speed in 1990, Vauxhall took the already fast Carlton GSI to Lotus and created a monster. The 3-litre block was bored out to 3.6 litres, and with 2 turbos strapped to it, and an upgraded 6-speed manual gearbox was lifted straight from the Corvette ZR1, and a high-tech at the time limited slip diff was fitted. The result is 377 horsepower and 420 foot-pounds of torque. 0 to 60 happens in 5.2 seconds, and wait for it, a top speed of 176 miles an hour. It's so energetic, and the engine, obviously it's got lag, but once you go past 3,000 RPM you don't get a kick as such, you just get this never-ending surge that just keeps going on and on and on. I mean, look, I'm doing 140 miles an hour right now, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. 150, 160 miles an hour in a Vauxhall Lotus Carlton. That's mental, 165 miles an hour. The brakes ain't too bad either. They're not too shabby at all. In context, this butch four-door saloon was not only miles faster than the German saloon rivals, but faster than a Porsche 911 Turbo and Ferrari 348 at the time. Heck, it was faster than a Ferrari Testarossa. A Testarossa! This very car today is just as quick, if not quicker, than a BMW M140i or even a Ford Focus RS. That just goes to show how savage this car was. It was so fast, it even got up to no good. Lotus Carltons were renowned for being stolen. In fact, in 1993, a group of thieves stole one with the number plate 40RA and went on weeks of doing shop ram raids throughout the West Midlands, stealing in excess of £20,000 in liquor and cigarettes. This resulted in a number of police chases and rumours of it outrunning a police helicopter. This then became a campaign which leaded on to even trying to ban the car at the House of Commons, but luckily the campaign failed and the car continued to remain on sale. And at £48,000, it wasn't exactly cheap. Although this car was also very fast and very desirable, insurance premiums were very high in the early 90s, hence why at the end of its production line they didn't sell as many and they had to can it all over. But even today, this car still feels very well engineered and something that can't be said for many other cars of this era. It has this sort of robustness to it, almost as if it can just go on and on and on for hours. Normally, older cars, they just, you feel a bit sympathetic, you know, you want to give it a bit of mechanical sympathy, but I've been going around here for the last few laps and it's fine, it's absolutely great. The brakes is not too bad. What's the steering like? Well, it hasn't got much feel, but you sort of use the body roll, believe it or not. I'll tell you what, cars have come a long way in terms of structural rigidity, and yeah, this one has got a lot of roll, but ooh, you can feel what's going on beneath you. You've got to manage the turbos as well too, and I like that. That's just, to me, what the essence is. Can you just imagine in 1990 jumping in one of these and then going as fast as we are now? That's just insane. Along with those performance bits, they've also given it some styling tweaks, kicking off with those massive 265 section 40/17 tyres to give it more grip, as well as boxy wide arches, this is the early 90s, and a little rear boot spoiler, because it's a saloon car. A boot spoiler on a Lotus Carlton. If you follow me around the front, you've got a wider front bumper to allow more air to go into those twin turbochargers. And unlike some of the German rivals like the VXR8 and the Monaro, it's just got this non-attitude about it. It means business, and if you saw one of these in your rearview mirror, you better move. Could you imagine hopping into one of these in 1990? I wonder what a journalist thought when he first started testing one of these. It must have been hilariously quick. By comparison, it's like, I don't know, like a brand new BMW M5 being faster than a McLaren 720S. It's just not possible, but it was in 1990. In many respects, the Carlton was so way ahead of its time, it even held the record for nearly a decade of being the fastest four-door saloon car in the world. The Carlton was so way ahead of its time compared to, say, other sports saloons. I mean, put it this way, most sports saloon vehicles can only be limited to 155 miles an hour, and even when they are delimited, some do the odd 200 miles an hour, but that's only near 20 miles an hour faster. And you know, with hybrid turbos and hybrid powertrains and stuff like that, I just think this just came in and shattered all the other opposition of saloon cars. You can't rival it to any other saloon car because it was the fastest four-door saloon car in the world for the best part of a decade. And it just goes to show, performance-wise, it was just in a league far beyond anything else. So then, the Carlton, like the VXR8, it came and it conquered, but it was never appreciated at the time. And in many respects, it is that car that just has the level of kudos and cool factor, and more importantly, respect, that just many other big four-door cars just haven't got. Vauxhall set out to build a super saloon that would tackle the fastest of sports cars at the time, and they have created one badass machine that broke every rulebook and even used to break laws. Somewhat of that attitude and character has fallen into the Monaro and the VXR8 to represent the brand's performance. But with the Lotus Carlton, however, it will and always shall be one of the automotive stories that will be shared to many generations to come. The question is, Will there be a future of cars like these from Vauxhall? I don't think we'll see something like this form ever again.